Physical agents, radon gas. So radon gas is a naturally occurring ionizing radioactive gas that can cause lung cancer. It is inert, colorless, and odorless. Outdoors, it disperses really quickly and isn't much of a health hazard. Health concerns of radon gas. Over time, intaking radon gas can increase your chances of getting lung cancer and is the second leading cause of lung cancer in the US. Radon gas breaks down to form radioactive particles called radon daughters or progenies, which can be inhaled into the lungs, causing cell damage, which can result in cancer. So again, the breakdown of uranium can create radon daughters or progenies. Smokers are at a higher risk of lung cancer if they're also exposed to radon gas. So sources of radon gas: it can accumulate in homes, schools, workplaces, and enters through cracks and holes in the foundation. Again, it comes from the breakdown of radioactive elements like uranium in soils and rocks. Its breakdown produces radon gas. It can potentially enter through wells and from building materials. Radon levels tend to be higher during the winter time and more concentrated in the lower parts of the home. So prevention of radon gas in homes. Testing is the only way to determine levels of radon, and you can hire a certified radon professional, but they are hard to find and are expensive. You can also use DIY kits. Radon is also not well known, and raising awareness about radon gas and its health effects can help others recognize the risks and prevent radon exposure. Indoor guideline for radon level is 200 becquerels per meters cubed. And again, that's 200 BQ per meters cubed. A long-term test is also available, which takes samples over a minimum of 3 months. And basically, you leave the device undisturbed for more than 4 hours a day. So when testing, it's best to sample the lowest living area of the home, so basements, and then you just leave the device undisturbed for 4 hours per day. So radon can be reduced using underground ventilation system or increasing the air changes in the building. Soil depressurization can also lead to air beneath the foundation of the home to exhaust outside because of the pressure change. Because of the pressure change, it will suck the air away from the basement. Sealing cracks around the foundation, floors, and pipes and drains can also prevent entry of radon gas. And also renovating floors is another way of preventing entry. Always test after doing repairs to prevent radon. Heat. Climate change is influencing the increasing global temperatures. Activities such as burning fossil fuels, cutting forests, and farming livestock are producing more greenhouse gases that are contributing to global warming. These days there are more heat waves and will probably only be more numerous in the future. Health concerns of heat. So prolonged or intense exposure to hot temperatures can lead to heat illness. Symptoms of heat illness include dizziness, fainting, nausea, vomiting, headaches, rapid breathing, rapid heart rates, extreme thirst. It can also lead to decreased urination, so dark and very yellow urine. Changes in behavior in children. They can present as sleepy or have many tantrums. Heat exposure can also lead to illnesses such as heat cramps, heat exhaustion, heat stroke, and hyperthermia. Complications include worsening of chronic conditions, cardiovascular complications, respiratory complications, diabetes-related conditions. It can accelerate death, lead to more hospitalizations, so it can really negatively impact health services and increase accidents in the workplace. So environmental impact. So increased heat can also increase foodborne and waterborne illness transmissions. Higher temperatures are better conditions for pathogens to grow. And if it's hotter, more people will be using rec water facilities and therefore will increase the risk of transmission of waterborne illness. Increased temperatures can also lead to algae blooms. It can damage power grids due to increased use. It can lower productivity because of harder conditions to work. So ways to prevent heat illness. It's always important to check weather forecasts and plan activities around the weather. Planning activities during the colder parts of the day. It's important to keep children hydrated, take regular breaks from the heat, avoid sun exposure and wear hats. Ensure staff are aware of symptoms of heat illness so they can identify if they are experiencing it. Wearing loose-fitting clothing, light-colored clothing, and clothing made of fabric that's breathable. We can close the shades during the day at our homes and open windows at night. We can also improve access to cooling interventions, so increase or prolong the hours of pools, make shade more accessible, and maybe visit the lake. Vulnerable populations to extreme heat include the elderly, people with chronic illness, people with limited mobility, people who exercise or work a lot in the heat, people on certain medications, and the homeless and the poor because they cannot really escape the heat as easily. Noise can negatively impact the quality of life and can lead to hearing loss, tinnitus, sleep disturbances, mental health effects. Hearing loss is also the most common condition in the US, and noise can come from vehicle traffic, air traffic, trains and ships, entertainment venues, industrial noise, construction sites as well. Noise is measured in decibels, and it's basically the average noise levels for a specific period. So the period could be during the day, during the night, or just 24 hours. Some health concerns from noise. Listening to loud sounds at high decibel levels can lead to hearing loss. Hearing loss depends on how loud the sound is and how long you are exposed to it. You can experience hearing loss and it'll be before you notice that you've lost hearing. Once you've lost your hearing, it's permanent. Noise exposure can lead to increased stress and anxiety. Higher blood pressures can lead to heart disease, tinnitus, and lack of sleep. Vulnerable populations to noise are those who work in noisy environments, younger children, the elderly, poor people in noise-prone areas, and those who have visual and hearing impairment. So ways to reduce noise are to do or conduct assessment of noise, enforcing policies such as building codes, zoning, noise bylaws, perhaps installing noise barriers. So along with noise barriers, physical barriers or soundproofing materials, we can build mounds or trenches or use mufflers on equipment. We can also reduce noise by educating people about the effects of noise to the public, and we can enforce zoning laws. Radiation. There are two types of radiation. We have ionizing radiation and non-ionizing radiation. Ionizing radiation has enough energy to produce ions in matter or ionize matter at the molecular level. It can result in damage to the DNA. It can denature proteins if it passes through humans. Types of ionizing radiation are gamma rays, X-rays, neutrons, alpha particles, and beta particles. Non-ionizing radiation does not carry enough energy to ionize atoms or molecules. Some examples are infrared radiations, radio waves, microwaves, and visible light. Radiation can come from radioactive decay, which is the process where an unstable atomic nucleus loses energy by radiation. The release of energy also releases particles called alpha particles, beta particles, gamma rays, and neutrons. It also produces a smaller daughter nuclei, or another element, and basically radioactive decay leads to the transmission into a stable isotope. So basically, radioactive elements have a lot of energy and they're very unstable. And this radioactive element really just wants to become stable. And in the process, it produces radiation, so alpha beta particles, gamma rays, neutrons. In the result, it'll become a stable isotope. So for example, plutonium has a lot of energy and is unstable. It'll lose electrons and decay and become lead. The rate of radioactive decay is expressed in half-life. Some health concerns of radiation or particles produced from radioactive decay are that it can enter our bodies. It can enter our bodies through direct exposure, external exposure, inhalation, ingestion, and these particles can ionize our cells and molecules, leading to destroyed DNA, and it can also denature proteins, which can lead to cancer. Sources of radiation. Naturally, radiation can come from cosmic radiation, terrestrial radiation from soil, water, and vegetation. It can come from radon gas, and can be from internal radiation. Man-made radiation sources include tobacco, televisions, medical x-rays, smoke detectors, lantern mantles, nuclear medicine, building materials, nuclear weapons testing, and nuclear accidents. So, cold. Cold weather can activate respiratory illnesses and worsen other chronic illnesses. Cold weather is unavoidable in Canada. Health concerns. Cold exposure can lead to windburn, frostbite, hypothermia, and even death. Hypothermia. It occurs when your body temperature drops due to extreme cold and can develop in 3 stages. The first stage includes symptoms such as shivering, goosebumps, numbness, quick and shallow breathing, fatigue, and nausea. It can lead to stage 2, and the most signifying symptom of entering stage 2 is the body will experience a warm sensation, and again, is a sign that you're entering stage 2 of hyperthermia. Warming sensation. But it can also lead to uncoordinated muscle movements, confusion, paleness, and blue extremities. Stage 3 is presented with symptoms of trouble speaking, thinking, walking, amnesia, blue puffy exposed skin, lower or decreased blood pressure or decreased pulse, and can also lead to death. Prevention of effects of cold weather include planning activities according to the weather forecast, dress in layers with a top layer that is wind resistant, stay dry and change out of wet clothes quickly, maintain blood flow and body heat by moving often, take shelter from the wind, prepare your home by doing regular maintenance, make sure your heating system is working efficiently, avoiding alcohol as it increases the chances of hypothermia, and lastly, seek medical attention if you are experiencing extreme signs of cold weather related exposure. And that's everything for physical agents.